For the majority of the Destiny player base, the game is less about deep characters and interesting lore, and more about that sweet, sweet loot. Many players spend hours upon hours grinding different raids, dungeons, lost sectors, and the Crucible in order to find the rarest and most sought after guns and armor sets. And it's because of this that Bungie is constantly adding new weapons to the game, many being more rare than the last. But this has led a lot in the community to ask the question, what actually is the rarest weapon in Destiny? A common guess at this is the famed Rarest Claymore, which is an extremely well-known but rare tri-burst shot high-impact weapon which was originally obtained by reaching the fabled Glory rank in competitive Crucible matches. This meant in order to get this weapon, a player would need to be one of the best competitive players at the time, which meant it would be harder to get than even weapons that required days of in-game time to grind and get. Currently, the Rarest Claymore is only in about 1.5% of the entire player base's collections, which means it is most definitely one of the most rare guns that Destiny has ever seen. But it isn't actually the rarest. Another recent entry onto that list is the Other Half Legendary Sword, which is known to drop in the Dares of Eternity events, or even more commonly, treasure chests in Xur's Treasure Hoard. The weapon itself is the opposing half to a previous drop called the Half-Truth Sword, which many in the community assume at some point will be able to combine into what will likely be a nod to the Energy Sword from Halo. The problem is the drop chance on this particular weapon is so amazingly low that just under 1% of the player base even actually has it, which means if this weapon is in fact key to having an Energy Sword from Halo and Destiny, not many players are going to actually experience that in reality. On top of this, many other weapons at some point have been called the rarest weapon in-game by many in the community, including the Edge Transit, the Button, the Motion to Compel Scout Rifle, and the Motion to Suppress and Vacate shotguns and SMGs. And while all of these picks are exceedingly rare and awesome weapons, none are the actual rarest in the entire lineage of Destiny, because that special prize goes to a little known weapon called the Wishbringer. While nowadays the gun has been added via other avenues, its original player base percentage of ownership was only 0.11% and was reserved for only the best Crucible players in the world. This energy shotgun was known to pack a punch, and while it certainly was never the best gun in the game, it for a period of time would have been the one that made you stand out far more than any other player. But you may still be wondering, is that really the most rare gun in Destiny's history? Well, in terms of readily available ones, yes, but that doesn't mean there isn't something even more ridiculously rare. And the king of this category is the Fate of All Fools. You see, back in November of 2014, a Reddit user named BKBunny87 made a post about her husband Eric, who had undergone 7 brain surgeries in the span of months and was an avid Destiny player that was now losing his memory of loved ones and family. But throughout it all, Destiny had kept him grounded, and he found solace in playing the game in any of his free moments he had, with his wife by his side on her handheld. But now, because of his shallow state, he was having difficulty getting through dungeons and raids. The post blew up, and thousands in the Destiny community banded together to join forces with Eric and helped him beat any content he wanted, especially the newest raids. It's one of the most heartwarming stories in Destiny's entire history and shows what the game is really all about: community, and it only gets better. The Bungie team had actually gotten wind of the post, and because of how moved they were by Eric's wife posting on the subreddit, they actually sent Eric a new exotic weapon called the Fate of All Fools, which was not released yet in-game. Originally planned to be released for the community at large, it was decided that instead, the weapon would remain in the hands of one man only for its entire history, and it is the only weapon in Destiny's history, before and up to this point, that this has ever happened. Either way, if anything, this story shows us that it isn't about getting the rarest weapons or loot, but the friends you make along the way. And by the way, for those of you wondering, Eric is still alive and kicking today with his happy and loyal wife by his side.